I'm not a salesperson. I don't like going into a call with the intent of, oh, I'm going to close this person. I like going into a call with the intent of, I'm going to learn more about this person, and I'm at least going to give them one solution to walk away with today, even if they don't work with us. And that, I think, shines through, and that attracts people to us, and then they sign up.
Okay, so welcome, Kerry. I'm glad that you choose to join.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have kind of an untraditional background compared to many others in the high-level ecosystem. I actually have a background in healthcare and wellness and academia. For over 20 years, I worked in health and wellness. And for the past 8 years, I worked as a professor teaching health sciences. So I have like a professional degree in healthcare, and I'm actually a clinical exercise physiologist. And then I've been a professor for 8 years, minus a little bit of downtime during COVID. And that's actually when I found high level. I needed a job to pay the bills. My lab that I was working at got shut down. All my research got put on pause. It was really, scrambling. Like, I also worked at gyms, and all the gyms got closed down. Like, I suddenly wasn't teaching anymore. And so
It's around COVID.
yeah, this is exactly around COVID. And then I found an agency working on high level that I didn't know was high level at the time. I'd never heard of high level. They were creating websites and marketing and automations for gym owners, CrossFit boxes, yoga studios, dietitians. So it fit very much in with my background in health and wellness. But again, I didn't have like a marketing background. So I started working with them in like tech support and kind of just worked my way up, became an onboarding specialist. I did quality control for them. I did some translations from English to some of the Scandinavian languages because I grew up in Norway, so I'm fluent in Norwegian. And then I worked with them for a little bit over 3 years, went back to teaching, worked in the hospitals. I just felt like I wasn't getting enough out of, like I wasn't being stimulated enough intellectually. And so I was let go of from the agency that I worked with, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to start my own high-level agency. And I didn't intend for it to be a full-blown agency. I really just wanted to start out with helping people get their systems and automations in place, because I love systems. I love automations. I love how powerful they can be, especially if you're like a solopreneur or you're just starting out, or you have a small team and you're wearing all the hats and you're trying to do all the business things out there. You just, as one person, you can't do it all. But by leveraging a tool as powerful as high level, you're able to essentially multiply yourself and buy back your time. And so I was like, you know what, I'm really good at this. I really understand when someone has a problem, how to solve it through automation. So I was like, I'll just start as a freelancer and I'll just help people. Well, again, I'm really good at it. So it just took off. And I just got a lot of clients, and then I started bringing people onto my team, and then we started offering our own white label service of high level, and we cater primarily to people in the healthcare realm: massage therapists, physical therapists, mental health therapists, chiropractors, and then we do a lot of like ministry leaders, and women solopreneurs and women entrepreneurs. So we kind of serve a lot of different industries, but I think the ones that are like most near and dear to my heart are the ones in the background that I came from. And we've grown our industry. I've taken 4 certifications with high level. I'm, one of their certified and preferred partners, and I love being in the community and just, helping others. And I'm very analytical, and I'm a big nerd, and I love doing like puzzles and just figuring things out, engineering things to work well. And so I think high level really just fills my cup every day. You never know what new challenge you're going to get.
So obviously, a lot of people that's new into the scene and who might not done their first sales yet, you know,
Mhm.
they have this enormous sea of information
Yes.
where, you know, you can do email marketing, you can do SEO, you can do cold calling, you can do like network marketing, you can do events, webinars.
Mhm.
There's a lot to choose from and can be a bit overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So for someone starting out fresh, what would be your advice?
Don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to learn the entire platform all in one day or 1 month, because that's not going to work. Not even 1 year, because as soon as you think you learn everything, they come out with new updates and it changes stuff. My best advice to someone just starting out is to pick one thing to focus on, and don't focus on the feature that you're selling. Focus on the problem that you're solving, or the challenge. I like to use the word challenge versus problem. The challenge that you're helping the business owner overcome. So, for example, a lot of people think about this called tech stack, or now, AI, the voice AI agent. You're not really selling them an AI agent. You're selling them an employee who never gets sick, an employee who's always going to say the same thing, an employee who's going to be able to take workload off of their hands, versus saying, hey, I have this AI bot I've built or I've configured to help you with your business. You don't want to sell the features. You want to sell the solution, so that the business owners don't feel like they have to be tech experts in order to use your software. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice, is kind of take a step back, get really clear on the one challenge you want to help people overcome with, and go out and push that. And then once you've done it and you get a sell, keep going and keep going. Because once you build that momentum, it's just like with anything else, right? Like muscle memory. Once you've done it before, it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It's fun to see that you kind of had a straight path in terms of the industry or the kind of work you're doing. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have you have passion for certain type of things. You
Mm-hmm.
incorporated that into which client you bring on and where you choose to market yourself, right?
Yes, absolutely. For us, I'm not like a salesperson. I do all the sales, but I don't see myself as a salesperson. For us, we take my background in academia and healthcare and translate that into business. So we want to make sure the business owner is always learning something new, but they don't have to become a tech expert. But they do have to learn, what would make my life easier if I had this particular thing automated, for example. And then we take the healthcare approach as, the patient, they don't know what treatment they need, but they know that they need treatment to be better. It's the same thing with the business owner. They don't know exactly what tools they need, but they know they need to implement something in order to continue to grow. And so we kind of take that as our approach when we're helping clients, and when we're on these what we call discovery calls, and really just want to provide kind of that level of care that we would provide to students or to patients, but within business. Because especially being a woman in kind of a tech world, that can be very lonely at times. You can feel like, oh, everyone's just bypassing me and no one sees me. And so if you feel like, oh, well, actually, Taft Systems, they're my behind the scenes business partner. They really care about me and my business. It makes it so much easier to have, those conversations to really get to the pain point of the client.
I can hear you on that one. We have a lot of those discussion in our affiliate network that we might look like a SaaS provider and a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about the tool, is it? It's
Correct.
more of, you have your clients. They're all suffering different pain points. So what's working for client A might not be the right way for client B, even though we can have a lot of things automated and snapshots for most of the things, in the systems we're operating. We're both on Go High Level. Um, but that's not really what it is, right? In order to keep your clients and not churn out and have them walk to another agency or someone else, really make sure that you solve those problems, right?
Absolutely.
And from my from my experience, it's a give and take, right?
Mhm.
We kind of need to have someone as our counterparty who takes that full responsibility over the parts that they need to do internally.
Yeah,
Without that engagement or that level of engagement, doesn't matter how good of a system I bring to the table.
correct. Yep,
So
correct.
it's kind of an energy play too, to find people on the same kind of energy that wants to move forward. They have a clear path. They know what they want to achieve. They just don't know how to achieve it, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And there's where you can come in and be a helping hand, guiding, and say, hey, by the way, I have a solution for this, and this is how we could do it.
Yep.
And this will be the destination when we've implemented this, the vision.
Yep.
Where
Absolutely.
this is where you can spend those 3 more hours with your daughter. You don't have to sit and do that admin that you're doing 3 times a week on those spots.
Hmm.
Whatever the pain is, right?
Right.
Not always connected to growth. Many times
Hmm.
people already have a great cash flow. They already have an operating business, but they don't have time, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it can be very different from what the individuals you run into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, especially in my industry that we work with, and just anyone that's like a solopreneur or has a small team, I would say that time is more valuable than money is. I think sometimes as business owners, we can get a little blind to that because we have payroll, we have all the bills, we have our families we need to take care of. But you can take care of your family by providing them more time, take care of yourself by being able to take a spa day or take a day off, or whatever it is that fills your cup back up. And so that is something I'm really passionate about, is helping these business owners be able to put their systems and their automations in place so that they can do what it is they love doing, and probably the reason why they started their business in the first place. No one says, I'm going to quit my 9 to 5 to work 12-hour days instead, So yeah, that's.
How long did it take for you until you're doing this full time, right? So
Mhm.
I'm a bit curious to hear for people that's brand new here and they're still wondering if, will this even work? Is it
Mhm.
what people say it is? You probably had those doubts yourself before, like taking that first step of actually starting your agency and taking the cost of a Go High Level account,
Mhm.
like affiliating to someone.
Yeah.
Still a step to go from living paycheck to paycheck, having that security of salary coming in every month to, okay, now it's on me to make sure that I can cover the cost of the system and I can cover my living expenses and whatever the picture looks like at that point of time.
Yeah. So I think this isn't necessarily just for high level. I think this is human nature in general. If we want something really, really bad, we will find a way to make it happen. I did not quit my job before I had the stability with high level. So for me, I was super overworked. I was still teaching full time up until May of last year. Jumping on Zoom calls at 5 a.m. in the morning with people in the UK and South Africa, staying up until 8, 9 p.m., 10 o'clock at night, jumping on calls with people in Australia to try to grow my agency. That is not something I do now. That is not something I want to do. But I did recognize in those early days, I did need to hustle a little bit harder. Now, that being said, is you don't have to hustle hard for forever. Start hustling, see what works. If it doesn't work, go to something else that works. Try something else out. Make sure that you're doing some type of money generating activity every single day. Make sure you're prospecting every single day. Make sure you're talking to someone about your solution every single day. And it doesn't have to be a formal sales call. It can just be in a Facebook group that you're chatting with someone. It could be in your local, city's networking group that you're talking to someone. It doesn't have to be super formal. But the more you talk about it, the more you get really clear on what it is you offer, what your solution is, the more you're going to feel confident and be willing to put yourself out there. Then you're going to start to see some sales. That's going to give you an ego boost, and then you're going to continue to go and continue to grow. I will say for those just starting out, this is not a get rich quick, scheme, or I do think there are a lot of affiliates in our community that make it seem like, oh, just put some YouTube videos up and you're going to get a ton of clients immediately. I don't think that's the case. I do think it requires hard work. I do think it requires dedication. I do think it requires motivation. Now, kind of stepping out of the high level role and into my professor role and physiologist role, if we think about human behavior, once we start to see success and feel confident in ourselves, we're going to be more willing to go. I think it's also human nature to doubt ourselves. So you need to not always rely on your motivation. You need to rely on discipline. You need to rely on external motivation. So maybe you have, a picture on your wall of why it is you wanted to start. If you have children and you want to spend more time with your children, well, put a picture of your children right next to your computer so that you remember, hey, this is why I'm working so hard to do this. And try to create your systems as early as possible so that you're not recreating the wheel every single time you get a new client or every single time someone messages you. A system doesn't have to be like a full-blown workflow with 70 actions. A system can be, you have a spreadsheet with maybe 7 or 8 different replies that you normally give people when they DM you. Copy and paste, or use, a specific word where you just type one word and it plugs in your entire response. That could be a system that can save you a lot of time and still help you keep going with your momentum. Another thing I would recommend to those who are starting out is get an accountability buddy. There are so many people in high level that want to make it, that there are some people that are making it. And I mean, the group is phenomenal. If you have questions, just post your question. You're going to get tons of people replying. They might not all be helpful, but for the most part, they are. And I think there's so many people out there that would want to help each other and kind of partner up in a sense to where you don't have to struggle alone. And that is something I absolutely love about high level, is literally if you're stuck on something, just go plug it in the group and you're gonna get people who are gonna respond to you, and just makes you feel kind of validated, like, oh, okay, other people are struggling on this too. And especially for the women out there, we have our own women of high level groups that no men are included, and it lowers kind of the threshold for some of the newbies to ask their questions. And I think it's important for those who are asking questions to actually have an open mind when they're reading the responses, because
you can give me a link to that group and I will put that
oh, absolutely,
when we publish.
Yeah, absolutely, that would be great. I think just one final thing on that is also to be open for feedback and to listen when other people are replying in terms of what they've done, because you may not know, other people may not know what works, but they may know what doesn't work, and there's so much value in that as well.
Yeah, I've gotten so much support myself during I'm still almost on a weekly basis asking questions or exchanging ideas with people. There's so many brilliant minds in that group gathered in one place, and they're all on the same mission, which kind of makes it super fun to be a part of it. And I mean, it changed so quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be a hacker on the full-blown system is impossible. Not even there's not even, I've been in interviews now both with Fer and with Sean and others from the company that they say the same. It's so big at this point that no one can know the whole system because it's constantly changing as well. So it's yeah. But still, you kind of see people coming into this community trying to master it all from beginning, and they're gonna style the whole thing like they want it to look like, and it becomes this massive project, right? To get started on actually selling. Just pick a pre-made template, get it up and running on your own domain,
Yep.
buy a phone number, and
Yeah.
get down to business.
Correct.
That can all be done. Both you and me know it after some experience in the system.
Mhm.
That can be done in a day.
Right. Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
that can be
Absolutely.
done in a day if you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
And you can be running your your first campaigns, doing your first outreach attempts, and the activities is actually going to lead up to you making a new relationship with someone who wants your help, uh,
Absolutely.
rather than trying to fix all the shiny objects and get it to be perfect in a funnel, which you most likely not going to have any people to feed into
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah. It's shiny object syndrome is a legit thing just in life, but definitely in high level. Your website can be just so pretty and so amazing, but who cares if you don't have people going to your website? If you don't have a website that's made for conversion, who gives a crap of what your high level looks like on the inside if you don't have any clients, right? So I think that's an amazing thing about high levels. They're always giving us new features. They're always upgrading, making things for the most part better. But I also think that's kind of a downfall for some people because they're like, oh, I got to do this, or oh, that just came out. And then they kind of lose track of what it is they were trying to do in the first place.
yeah, which is land your first client, right?
Yes.
That's we all been there. Do you remember still the first go client that you landed?
I think I landed probably like 5 or 6 within a very short amount of time. So I don't remember who was my very first client. Probably one of my girlfriends was my first client. I will say too, that it's a good idea when you're first starting out too, is, get your friends to be your clients, give them like a major discount so that you have people that are going to be real people who are going to use the software and test it. And then that helps perfect your systems. I was very blessed because I had already been using High Level for 3 years before I started my own. So I kind of knew, what to avoid. And then I was in a few networking groups that I'm very blessed to have gotten clients from those networking groups pretty quickly. And so I immediately had some friends be my clients and had them as my affiliates. And that for me was kind of the catalyst to continue to go. And then I said, oh, I got some other new clients that I don't have any relation to. And then it just kind of kept building and building. And so I think my first like non-friend client or non-networking client is a client I still have actually. And they are from South Africa. They're like a marketing firm.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, networking is primarily how you get your clients.
Yes, for us, yes, it's primarily networking, and word of mouth.
Have you scaled that inside of your organization? So it's like, are you more in a CEO position at this point, where you managing sales managers who do this networking with setters, or like how do you structure that in a bigger machinery?
Yeah, so I am more in a CEO role. I will say I am sometimes still too much in the operator role too. I try not to do that. But sometimes people are sick and then I fill in, or talking to, some of the larger clients that we do custom builds for. I have my hands more in the pot with those, but I do all of our sales as of right now, at least. I do have an operations manager who handles all the day-to-day operations. I have a lead technical person. And then my operations manager also oversees the team. So I don't really deal with like the team as a manager per se, as my operations manager does that. But we have processes in place where everyone is essentially networking for the business. And if they bring in clients, well, we have commissions, we have bonuses once we meet all of our goals and things like that. Because obviously I want to provide incentives for my team for helping, but I myself very much am still very active with networking. In lots of local groups here. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, lots of local groups, lots of online groups, and then just Facebook groups in general for business owners and primarily women business owners. That has been like our biggest money grab, if you will, is being in these Facebook groups. I have I kind of preach my like 30-day action plan of being in Facebook groups without spamming, without DMing people, like no unsolicited anything. It's literally just provide value, and that you will attract your people by providing value without being like, hey, you can do XYZ. I'll show you how if you pay me money. Like, don't do that. No one asked you to do that. You know, it's like, hey, you can do XYZ. Here's how, or feel free to send me a message. And then once you get to talking to people, then you can, of course, make your pitch. And for me, I'm not a salesperson. I don't like going into a call with the intent of, oh, I'm going to close this person. I like going into a call with the intent of, I'm going to learn more about this person, and I'm at least going to give them one solution to walk away with today, even if they don't work with us. And that, I think, shines through, and that attracts people to us, and then they sign up. And then they, tell their friends, and their friends sign up, and then it helps. So
authority is the new ad spend, right? Basically, it's what it is. Like,
yeah.
You create your authority by being helpful in different groups, and you get recognized for doing good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like coming here and letting us pick your brain on your high level journey. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
It's been blessed to have you on, and I hope that we can see you here again and keep on hearing on how things going for you and where you're standing with things.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been great. I always tell people my inbox is always open. That's like I used to say to my students, my office is always open. My inbox is always open. Feel free to send me a message, and I'd be happy to come again. And I love talking strategy and all things high level.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.